his foot against
Yo,
the tree
bro,
trunk.
why the fuck are you animating this, you freaky ass nigga? The worst Gooner deaths ever. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I really could not find a video to watch, and this shit just sounded funny. But all jokes aside, though, I do think it's kind of crazy how in this generation, lust is literally taken way over. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I was just talking about this the other day. Like, even cooking with Kaya, gang, you can't even start a cooking page no more without shaking ass in order to boost yourself up past the line. People ruining every hobby nowadays with lust. Like, even DreamCon just passed. I love anime, bro. It gave anime fans a space as a whole to link up and, you feel me, get in costume and buy trinkets and shit like that. Now, pure OnlyFans girls at the event, bro. Like, they're literally pulling up just to promote. So I want to see this video to really get in the mind of, like, how do you get so gooned out so bad that you're more worried about gooning out than your actual survival?
The asphyxiation gooning incident. On June 14th, 1994,
This happened on my birthday. I'm born on June 14th. It was a couple years before I was born, too.
a 38-year-old man left his small home in Asheville, North Carolina, telling his family he was going for an evening walk to clear his mind. He often visited a wooded area behind a local park when he wanted privacy, and the route was familiar enough that no one thought much of it. Clad in casual outdoor clothing and carrying a small backpack, he walked into the tree line just before sunset, disappearing into the dense, quiet forest. As daylight faded, he ventured farther off the main path than usual, eventually stopping in a secluded clearing about 50 yards from the trail.
He said asphyxiation, so I'm thinking maybe he got like a tent or some shit and wasn't getting no oxygen coming like into the tent. He went to the middle of the woods to goon. I don't know if this nigga doing some regular soul ritual or some shit. I'm not really following right now where we're going with this.
Down his backpack, removed several personal items, and began preparing an arrangement using a rope tied between two sturdy trees. The setup appeared practiced, done with deliberate care, suggesting this was not the first time he had been in this spot or engaged in this ritual. As night deepened, the man engaged in a sequence that involved controlled pressure and suspended position.
What the fuck? He has a wife. This nigga got a wife, bro. He literally walked past his wife, looked her in the eyes. I'm going off, honey. Knowing exactly what he was about to go do. Completely ignoring his wife for a ritual of tying a rope around his neck to beat his meat.
A sequence that involved controlled pressure and suspended positioning. At some point during the process, however, he shifted his weight incorrectly or misjudged the timing. The rope system, meant to allow controlled release, failed to do so once he lost consciousness. The moment he blacked out, his body became completely unsupported. Without the ability to adjust himself or break free, he remained suspended in a kneeling position, slumped forward and unable to breathe. Hours passed, and the forest remained quiet and undisturbed. The next afternoon, on June 15th, a group of hikers walked along the same trail, taking—
Oh my god. You're lucky no fucking Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts walked past you, bro. You're a fucking weirdo, bro. He was tied up for what? Perfect control? Perfect release? Now he has to be the goon governor on Reddit or some shit, gang. Trying to get scientifical with it to try and get the perfect goon. Like, there's really levels to this shit I'm now finding out.
taking advantage of the warm weather. About half an hour into the hike, one of them noticed something odd. When they moved closer and saw the unmoving posture of the kneeling figure, they realized something was wrong. They immediately called 911. When paramedics arrived, they confirmed he had been dead for many hours. Investigators recognized the pattern as a classic case of accidental death during a private, high-risk solitary act of gooning. The goonside incident—
What do your kids have? Like, imagine that being your pops. I swear if that was me, I would never claim my parent ever again. Like, this is some of the most pathetic shit I ever seen, like, to be honest, bro. That's a bad way to take your family off the map, my boy.
January 8th, 2025, a 27-year-old man named Nautica Malone drove his sedan into the drive-through lane of Bikini Beans Coffee in Tempe, Arizona.
Oh, I think I've seen this one. This is the one that went viral? The controversy with that one guy? And they took the side of the guy?
After 7 a.m. He had left home unusually early that morning, according to his family, saying he needed fresh air and a change of scenery. As he approached the service window, a barista preparing for the morning rush noticed him rolling forward at a slow, measured pace. When he reached the window, she greeted him, expecting a routine order. But within seconds, she realized Nautica had no pants on. She pulled out her phone and began recording the encounter, capturing the man's quiet, vacant expression as he sat.
Yo, as soon as I found out about this, like, and I found out people was taking this nigga's side for pulling up on her in the drive-thru with no pants on, it's like, please take the extra step of security for your female loved ones. As somebody's mom, auntie, sister that came into work and was forced to have to see somebody naked, pull up on her and stare at her in the eyes while she's just trying to take their order, bro. They blamed her for recording. Fuck recording. He should have been beat right there in that fucking parking lot. Pause. He should have been. Yeah, never mind.
behind the
Just
wheel. The
pissed me
video
right off.
lasted only a few seconds before the car eased forward and exited the lane. The clip was shared privately at first, circulating among coworkers, but by late afternoon it had been forwarded.
Ain't designer do that on a plane? You know, Panda designer. That nigga, that's what he got caught doing on a plane, ain't he? He did that on a plane and that shit ruined his rap career or some shit like that.
Again and again until someone uploaded it to social media. Within hours, it was widely circulating across multiple platforms, gathering captions, jokes, and commentary. Over the next 2 days, Malone withdrew from friends and family. According to relatives, he stayed mostly in his room, leaving only briefly to pick up mail or get water. He ignored calls from co-workers, disabled several of his social media accounts, and stopped responding to messages. His brother later told reporters that the shame and public attention seemed to overwhelm him almost instantly. And on the morning of January 11th, Malone left home quietly.
Nigga had post-nut clarity. That's what that is. And you're a fucking weirdo. You got the nerve to feel bad and feel shame and want to hide after what you did, bro. Like, what the fuck? You better have been on drugs when you did that shit. You must have been not in your right mind when you did that shit.
He drove west toward Goodyear, Arizona, taking a long, looping route along the highway, avoiding busier exits. At some point during the drive, he called his brother, but the call went unanswered. When the brother returned the call minutes later, it rang without response. Just after 3 p.m., a passerby walking through a quiet parking area near a small business park noticed a black sedan parked at an odd angle beneath a tree. The engine was off, and the driver inside appeared completely still. The passerby approached slowly and tapped on the window, but there was no movement. Alarmed, they dialed 911 and reported an unresponsive person in a vehicle. Police and paramedics arrived within minutes. After forcing the door open, responders determined Malone had died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, with the estimated time of death several hours earlier. A firearm was recovered inside the vehicle. On his phone, officers found a short message addressed to his family, written earlier that morning, apologizing for the pain he felt he had caused them.
Apologies to his family for the pain he caused them. What about the victim, bro? What about the girl you sexually harassed? What about her? Bro took no accountability and then doubled down and left on it, bro. But I really hope at least one woman is on this list, bro. But then again, it's like I can't expect it, bro, because niggas be the weirdest people on earth, bro. You be making a regular functioning niggas look crazy, bro. But you an idiot if you generalize, so I don't care about that. But yeah, nah, fuck that last nigga. I don't give a fuck about none of that. You drove past a donut shop, bro. It could have been a fucking 14-year-old girl working the register in the back or some shit and walked past and saw that. Like, what the fuck? I have no sympathy for that nigga.
On March 18th, 2011, a 32-year-old man returned to his small Milwaukee studio apartment after a long work shift. He dropped his keys on the counter, turned on his TV for background noise, and headed straight for the bathroom. A few minutes later, he decided he wanted to goon. He brought a small stool from the living room and placed it beside the bathtub. He propped his phone upright against a shampoo bottle, playing a video he wanted to goon to. Based on the coroner's office...
What? What type of what? What is that setup? But where did you get this from? Bro, where the fuck do these niggas be getting this shit from? First the nigga with the rope, then this nigga grabbed a stool. You're a dopamine fiend. Like, this is what these niggas are known for, bro, for the rest of their lives. This is what they'll be known for. That shit is insane.
Reconstruction, he climbed onto the small stool so he could goon in a certain position, but the stool wasn't stable on the slippery bathroom tiles. While he was in action, the stool suddenly slid out from under him. He lost his balance instantly. He fell backward, hitting his head hard on the edge of the bathtub, and was knocked unconscious immediately, with no one else.
Like, is this not embarrassing, bro? If you're watching this and you're a goon addict, like, is this not convincing you that the next time you get the urge to do that shit, to just be like, let me fight back a little bit?
In the apartment to help him, he stayed on the floor without ever waking up. When he didn't show up for work the next morning, his co-workers requested a welfare check. The landlord entered the apartment and found the scene unchanged. The phone still playing, the stool overturned, and the man lying on the bathroom floor where he had fallen. Paramedics were called to the scene and they confirmed he had died from a head injury caused by the fall. The latter incident. On June 11th, 2019, a 30...
Bro, why is it all in June, bro? Why is there so many events that happen during my birth month, bro? Like, what the fuck?
38-year-old man in rural Oregon carried an aluminum ladder behind his house and placed it against a tall pine tree at the edge of his property. He often climbed the tree to get cell reception, and neighbors later reported that he had a habit of spending long periods alone outdoors. That afternoon, he set up the ladder in a secluded spot and climbed roughly 15 feet up, settling on a sturdy branch. He began engaging in gooning while seated on the branch.
Bro.
Repeatedly, bracing his foot against the tree trunk while using the other.
Why the fuck are you animating this, you freaky ass nigga? He really sat here and really animated bro doing this?
to maintain balance. Minutes passed, he shifted his weight repeatedly, bracing his foot against the tree trunk while using the other to maintain balance. The branch beneath him was stable, but the ladder he had climbed was not properly secured. At some point during his activity, his movement caused the ladder to tilt backward. Startled, he reached instinctively toward it, losing his balance on the branch in the process. Within seconds, he tumbled together with the ladder down the slope beneath the tree, striking the ground chest first. A hiker on a nearby trail heard the crash and discovered him unconscious beside the flattened ladder. Emergency services were called immediately, but despite resuscitation efforts, he was pronounced dead at the scene from blunt force trauma to the thorax, including multiple fractured ribs and cardiac injury.
Oh my god, he's a fucking loser. Bro, this fucking nerd fractured his whole rib cage trying to goon, bro. Like, what the fuck? But this video is actually funny as hell. Before we even get into the next one, what do you think? I'm trying to think, what's the psychology of these niggas? Like, I'm wondering, now I'm starting to actually wonder, like, how do you even come across these fantasies? The first guy that tied the rope around his neck, he definitely like being petite. You feel me? Getting punched around and all that type of shit, that submissive shit. That's why he left his wife. He probably ain't trust his wife enough to want to do that type of shit with him. So that's probably what it is. Cause bro's trying to get choked up and shit by the rope. The second nigga is probably the opposite. He's probably even worse. To me, he has the fucking mannerisms of a rapist. It must have been like a power trip thing for him. The fact that she couldn't have done nothing about it. He literally pulled up in the car, looked at her, did what he had to do, not what he had to do, did what he wanted to do, and then pulled off. Right. The third one was the nigga that was in the bathroom. I don't know why he climbed up on that stool, bro. That one, I'm gonna just blame that on autism. I don't know. I think he just wanted to be in that spot. The ladder incident, that nigga was definitely a narcissist. You feel me? He has some sort of like self-worship outlook on life because he climbed on the top of a tree and shit to look at the sun and, yeah, looking down at niggas and shit. Like,
E-cut incident. On July 14th, 2016,
yo, I thought that said June 14th again. I was about to have a fucking
45-year-old man returned to his small apartment in Eastern Europe after a day of running errands. He set down his bags, turned on a small radio for background noise, and made his way to the bedroom. He retrieved a homemade metal device he had been experimenting with and brought it to the bed. Arranged
homemade goon machine metal. This nigga created one. He invented one. Nah, he's off. This nigga is too far gone, bro. All of these niggas is too far gone, bro. How do you end up like this, bro? Like, the first nigga had a wife, bro. He had a wife, so he was just high functioning. Like, he was a weirdo.
it carefully for use. Based on investigators' reconstruction, he attempted to use the device while sitting on the edge of the bed. The device was unstable and one of the metal parts suddenly snapped under pressure. The broken piece caused a deep cut to his groin. He tried to stop the bleeding, but the wound was severe and involved a major blood vessel. Alone in the apartment, he was unable to get help or call emergency services. Within minutes, he lost consciousness due to rapid blood loss. When he didn't respond,
wow, what a fucking way to go. That might be the worst one yet. To be the guy to have to bust open this door to come in the room to see that, this one's pretty nasty though. But like funny though, it must have been the nigga. I think it might have to be bro in the bathroom. I think the thought of putting the pieces together, what happened, is probably some of the funniest shit you're gonna think in your head for the first 5 seconds. Like, I would burst out laughing, to be honest.
to friends who visited later that evening, a welfare check was requested. Authorities entered the apartment and found the scene unchanged, the device broken, and the man lying unconscious on the bed where he had been attempting to use the device. Paramedics confirmed that he had died from hemorrhagic shock caused by the laceration.
Bro, imagine having to be the one to tell his family that. Imagine telling his mother that. You probably give her a heart attack. And now we have one at the top of a building.
Gooner incident. On October 14th, 2020.
Bro, why are so many of these fucking incidents on the 14th, bro? June 14th, July 14th, October 14th? Wasn't one of them January too? Bro, this just happened in 2020. What the fuck?
33-year-old man woke up in his small apartment in the city. His nights had become sleepless, spent scrolling through videos and live streams of a single adult performer he believed was secretly communicating with him. To him, every post, every glance at the camera was a coded message meant only for him. Investigators later found that he had stopped going to work, cut of his friends and family, and had isolated himself almost entirely.
That's the power that they're looking to have over these type of niggas. And these niggas that subscribe to that type of shit, like, bro, if you're paying for that, gang, and you're watching this, I want you to know you have a problem. Like, I don't watch that weird shit that everybody else be like, bro. If you're paying for that shit, you already have a problem that you need to fix right now. You're wildin'. I'm not gonna lie. Even if you're watching this shit still and you're like in a relationship, I'm not gonna be the one to tell grown people what to do. But I would highly advise that you just don't do this shit at all as a whole, bro. An addiction is an addiction, bro. No matter what you addicted to, it's a character flaw. At the end of the day, it's not an advantage, it's a character flaw. Imagine if instead of sitting behind the screen thinking that this girl was sending messages to you and only for you, you directed that energy into not being a fucking weirdo and actually got a wife that is actually only for you romantically. Probably had an addiction from the young age, bro. That's usually where that shit starts. These niggas be getting addicted to that shit at a young age.
Screenshots and printed messages littered his apartment, all meticulously annotated with interpretations of the performer's signals. Over
Oh,
time,
hell
his
nah.
fixation had escalated. He
Back him
convinced
up.
himself that he needed to meet her in person to prove his loyalty.
Back
That
him up.
morning, he packed a backpack with essentials, including a handwritten letter and several printed screenshots, and left his apartment. He traveled by public transit to the city where he believed she was filming, following directions pieced together from interviews and online posts. For hours, he wandered near the area, checking security cameras and rehearsing what he would say. He refused to contact anyone for help, believing that any interference would ruin everything. As evening approached, he attempted to climb a fire escape to get a closer look at the studio where he believed she was working. Surveillance footage later showed him pause midway, hesitate, then lose his footing. Emergency responders arrived too late. He was already dead. The medical exam
Wait, what? So he was so obsessed with trying to find her, he fucking tripped and died? Yo, this is the actual definition, I do believe, of what gooning actually means. Like, it's not just like chicken choking. It's like you're so hysterically fixated on gooning. That's just a funny word. But that really is him. Like, this is the first instance I've actually heard of the real definition actually occurring. Like, the nigga tripped down the stairs and died. Don't that sound like a bad dream, my nigga, that you wake up out of and you thank the Lord a million times that that's not your life? Like, damn, bro. What a way to go. What a way to end your bloodline, bro.
ruled the death an accidental fall, noting that exhaustion, sleep deprivation, and distraction from obsessive fixation had
Wow, the nigga got so gooned out he was sleep deprived. That's dedication.
contributed to his fall. Law enforcement later confirmed that the adult performer had no knowledge of his existence, had never communicated with him, and played no role in the accident.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mind you, I'm not even laughing no more. That is the most pathetic thing that I've heard in my entire life. Niggas better get your act together, bro. You better control your life. I just clicked on this because I couldn't believe that this was actually gonna be like real instances, and like that's probably some of the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. Actually, gotta be top 25. Gotta be top 25 in my entire life. 23 years alive. At least one of these stories gotta be top 25. Like, I never thought I would hear no shit like that, but I did. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you want me to react to next. And until then, thank you for watching.